day in the life of Queen Victoria. Queen Victoria's daily routine changed over the years as she aged, and her responsibilities as a monarch evolved. However, here is an example of what a typical day in her life might have looked like during her early reign. Please continue to support my channel by subscribing. At 5 a.m, Queen Victoria wakes up early and begins her day with a cup of hot water with lemon, followed by a light breakfast of eggs, bread and tea. This was a time for her to wake up slowly and prepare for the day ahead. While she enjoyed her morning beverage, Queen Victoria would often read letters or newspapers. She was known for her keen interest in politics and current events, and she liked to stay informed about what was happening in the world. After her morning tea or coffee, Queen Victoria would typically get dressed and attend to personal matters, such as writing letters or reviewing her schedule for the day. She would also receive visitors, such as her ladies-in-waiting, who would help her get ready for her day. Depending on the day of the week and the season, Queen Victoria's morning activities might include attending church services, engaging in outdoor activities, or attending to matters of state. She was a busy monarch, and her daily schedule was filled with official duties and social engagements. Queen Victoria was known for being an early riser, often waking up at around 5 or 6 in the morning. At 6 a.m, she typically began her daily routine of attending to her correspondence. Queen Victoria was a prolific letter writer and spent a significant amount of time reading and responding to letters from her ministers, government officials, and members of the public. She would often start her day by reviewing the letters that had been delivered to her overnight and deciding which ones required a response. The Queen's correspondence covered a wide range of topics, including matters of state, personal matters, and requests for patronage or assistance. She was known for taking a keen interest in the affairs of her subjects and would often respond to letters personally and sometimes in great detail. In addition to responding to letters, Queen Victoria would also use this time to read reports and documents from her advisors. This allowed her to stay informed about the latest developments and make informed decisions about matters of state. At 7 a.m, Queen Victoria typically had breakfast, which was a formal meal served in the dining room. The meal was usually attended by members of the royal family, as well as any guests who might have been staying with the Queen. Breakfast was an important meal for Queen Victoria, as it provided her with the energy she needed for the day ahead. The meal typically consisted of several courses, which might include porridge, eggs, bacon, toast, and tea and coffee. During breakfast, Queen Victoria would often engage in conversation with her guests, discussing a range of topics from politics to current events. She was known for her intelligence and wit, and her guests often enjoyed lively and stimulating conversation during meals. After breakfast, Queen Victoria would typically attend to personal matters, such as reviewing her schedule for the day. She might also spend some time outdoors, taking a stroll through the gardens or engaging in other outdoor activities. Overall, 7 a.m. was an important time for Queen Victoria, as it marked the beginning of her day. Breakfast was a time for her to fuel up for the busy schedule ahead, as well as spend time with family and guests. At 9 a.m, Queen Victoria would typically begin her official duties for the day. This might involve meeting with government officials, attending to matters of state, or engaging in public appearances. Queen Victoria was known for her diligence and dedication to her duties as Queen, as she took her role as a constitutional monarch very seriously. She often held meetings with her advisors and ministers to discuss matters of state and to provide guidance on important issues. In addition to her official duties, Queen Victoria was also known for her philanthropic work. She supported a wide range of charitable organisations and causes, and she often visited hospitals, schools, and other institutions to show her support and lend her influence. Depending on the day of the week and the season, Queen Victoria's official duties might include attending public ceremonies or events, receiving foreign dignitaries, or presiding over meetings of the Privy Council. She was a busy monarch, and her daily schedule was often filled with a wide range of official engagements. Queen Victoria typically had lunch around 12 o'clock. Lunch was an important meal for the Queen, as it was a chance for her to take a break from her official duties and enjoy some time with her family and friends. Queen Victoria's lunch would usually consist of several courses and would be served in the formal dining room of her palace. The meal would typically start with soup or a cold appetizer, followed by a main course of meat or fish with vegetables, and then a dessert. During lunch, the Queen would often be joined by her family members, including her children and grandchildren, as well as her ladies-in-waiting and other close friends. She enjoyed lively conversation and would often discuss a wide range of topics, including politics, art, and literature. In addition to enjoying her meal and the company of her guests, Queen Victoria sometimes used lunchtime to conduct official business. She would meet with her ministers or other government officials to discuss matters of state, or she would review reports and documents related to affairs of the country. Overall, Queen Victoria's lunch was an important part of her daily routine. It allowed her to take a break from her official duties and enjoy some time with her family and friends, and it was a chance for her to conduct official business in a more relaxed setting. At 4 p.m, Queen Victoria typically took tea in her private chambers. This was a daily ritual that she enjoyed and looked forward to, and it was an opportunity for her to relax and unwind after a busy day. During tea, the Queen would often be accompanied by a book or her favourite pet dog. She was an avid reader and would use this time to catch up on the latest novels or works of non-fiction. She was particularly interested in history and would often read books on the history of Britain or other European countries. Tea time was also a chance for the Queen to reflect on the events of the day and to discuss any matters that were on her mind with her ladies-in-waiting or other trusted advisors. These discussions could range from matters of state to personal concerns. In addition to tea, Queen Victoria sometimes used this time to work on her art projects. She was a skilled artist and enjoyed painting and sketching in her spare time. She would often have an easel set up in her private chambers and would use this time to work on her latest creations. At 5 p.m, Queen Victoria typically took a walk around the gardens of Windsor Castle or Osborne House, depending on where she was staying at the time. This was another daily ritual that she enjoyed and looked forward to, and it was an opportunity for her to get some exercise and enjoy some fresh air. During her walks, the Queen would be accompanied by her ladies-in-waiting, her dogs, and sometimes other members of her family or household staff. She would often use this time to chat with her companions and to catch up on the latest news and gossip. Queen Victoria was particularly fond of her dogs and would often stop to play with them or to watch them run and play in the gardens. She had a particular love for her Pomeranian dogs and would often carry them in her arms or in a small basket while she walked. In addition to enjoying the scenery and spending time with her dogs, Queen Victoria sometimes used her walks to inspect the gardens and grounds of her palaces. She was a keen gardener and took a personal interest in the design and upkeep of the gardens. She would often make suggestions to her gardeners and give them instructions on how to improve the layout or plantings. At 6 p.m, Queen Victoria typically had dinner. Dinner was a formal and elaborate affair, and it was considered the most important meal of the day. The dinner would usually consist of multiple courses served on fine china and silverware. It would typically start with a soup course, followed by a fish course, a meat course, and then a dessert course. Each course would be accompanied by a different wine selected by the Queen's sommelier. During dinner, Queen Victoria would be joined by her family members, including her children and grandchildren, as well as her ladies-in-waiting. The atmosphere was formal and dignified, and conversation topics were usually related to politics, current events or matters of state. After dinner, the Queen would often retire to her private chambers to relax and read or write letters. She was an avid correspondent and would spend several hours each day writing letters to friends, family members and government officials. At 8 p.m, Queen Victoria's daily routine varied depending on the day of the week and the season. However, in general, this was time when she would engage in leisure activities or attend to personal matters. For example, during the summer months, Queen Victoria often enjoyed spending time outdoors in the evenings. She would take a stroll through the gardens or sit on the veranda and enjoy the warm evening air. She was particularly fond of watching the sunset and would often make a point of being outside at this time. During the winter months, Queen Victoria's activities were more likely to be indoors. She enjoyed playing card games, particularly whist, and would often spend time with her ladies-in-waiting or other members of her household playing cards in the evening. In addition to leisure activities, Queen Victoria also used this time to attend to personal matters, such as writing letters, reading books, or working on her artwork. She was a talented artist and would often spend time sketching or painting in the evenings. At 10 p.m, Queen Victoria's daily routine varied depending on the day of the week and the season. However, in general, this was a time when she would begin preparing for bed. Queen Victoria would retire to her private chambers and begin the process of getting ready for bed. She would change into a nightgown and have her hair combed and arranged for the night. Before going to bed, Queen Victoria would often spend some time reading or writing in her journal. She was an avid writer and kept a detailed diary throughout her life, which provides valuable insights into her thoughts and experiences. Queen Victoria was also a devout Christian, and she would often spend time in prayer before going to bed. She had a small chapel in her private chambers, where she would attend services and pray with her chaplain. Once she was ready for bed, Queen Victoria would retire to her bedchamber, where her ladies-in-waiting would help her get settled for the night. She had a four-poster bed with a canopy, which was decorated with luxurious fabrics and cushions. As a monarch, Queen Victoria's schedule was often filled with official duties, and she had to maintain a strict schedule to manage her many responsibilities. Despite this, she also made time for her family and personal pursuits, such as reading and music. Queen Victoria's daily routine changed significantly after the death of her beloved husband Prince Albert in 1861. The Queen was devastated by the loss and went into a prolonged period of mourning that lasted several years. Please continue to support my channel by subscribing. Please comment, like and subscribe if you wish for more stories, and leave your suggestions below and I will endeavour to cover them.